Can everybody hear me okay? So I'm not normally a presenter. I normally don't do this sort of thing, so you'll have to bear with me. As the picture says, my name's Barrington Miller. I'm the Director of Listed Company Services at the Canadian Securities Exchange. We're small, we're nimble. We have about 30 people in Toronto, 3 in Vancouver, 1 in Calgary, 1 in Montreal, a US rep, and a rep in Asia. The title basically means I take care of companies once they're listed. Essentially, after the honeymoon phase, you roll over and you see me. My mandate is to keep the companies listed on our exchange and in good standing. But I also cover off marketing initiatives, host events, seminars, lunch and learns, and do business development and outreach. So I'm going to fully confess I'm not a technologist. My background is a reformed pro trader and basically a capital markets professional. Oh, wow, different order. Okay, brief history of our stock exchange. We were founded in 2003, recognized as a fully recognized exchange in 2004. We were rebranded as CNSX in 2008, and then in 2014 we became the CSE. So when we first started, we had 3 companies and 6 dealers. We were and are still entrepreneurial in our story. Our CEO, Richard Carlton, will always tell you, we know exactly what it's like to have the door slammed in your face, to be laughed at, and to be considered not a real stock exchange, especially when you compare it to the TSX and the TSX Venture, which a lot more people may know about. Yet here we are today. We are in the business of helping your business grow. Oops. Our mission: facilitate the lowest cost of Canadian public capital for emerging companies. When I say lowest, we actually mean it. For US companies, you would already have a 30% discount in an already aggressive public market entry. Our fees are $3,500 listing fee, $10,000 application fee, and it's $650 per month. Year 1, you're paying under $21K. Year 2, it's $650 per month. That's it. So you're paying about $7,800. Year 3, same thing. We do not take a percentage of any money that you raise, whether it's $50 million or $5 million or $50,000. That money stays with you. The other Canadian stock exchanges don't necessarily have that in place. This is just the current landscape. There are 4 recognized stock exchanges in Canada: the TSX, the TSX Venture, the Canadian Securities Exchange, and the newest one on the block, the Neo Equitas Exchange. In 2017, a record-breaking year. We had 35 companies over $100 million in value in market cap. It was the first time we did over $1 billion raised on the exchange in 1 year. And it was the first time with trading sessions that exceeded volume, value, and trades than the TSX. We also had our first billion-dollar company in January. Our market cap as of yesterday was $9 billion, and our average market cap per company is $25 million. The technology sector, which I'm sure this group is interested in, includes technology, clean tech, and life sciences, and that accounts for $5.5 billion. The average tech company market cap is $37 billion. I called the exchange today and I asked about, we keep a section called crypto, blockchain, and crypto mining companies. So we have about 30 on our exchange, and their market cap combined, as of today, was $1.1 billion. Their average size is 38 million. This is just a chart to show off how much we've grown. It's a total hockey stick, and it's a 5-year trend. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about cannabis, because let's face it, people come for the cannabis and stay for the tech. We got into the cannabis game about 3+ years ago, and we took the approach of listing applicants as well as licensed producers. That shone a light on our exchange, and people stayed and discovered that there are other sectors. Currently, we're home to approximately 70 cannabis companies and cannabis-related. This is another show-off stat. People talk about liquidity. If you're a company and you come to our exchange, will you be able to trade? Well, we measure liquidity by the trading value divided by the market cap, which is your turnover ratio. Oops, I forgot to change it. That's us, that's the red line, and those are our two closest competitors, the TSX and the TSX Venture. The CSE'S promise to issuers: straightforward requirements, a connected exchange, enhanced disclosure, streamlined regulation, low fixed fees. We're fully recognized by the SEC as a foreign stock exchange and by the OTC markets as a qualified foreign exchange. Tech on the CSE. 71 technology companies, 10 new in the sector listings as of 2017 compared to 8 with the TSX Venture. 179 million raised in the sector in 2017. Now, a lot of the reason why we're here. Blockchain on the CSE. CSE is home to a growing cohort of companies involved in the rapidly evolving blockchain space. Why blockchain? There are a few circumstances that led us here. We actually had the capabilities in our trade engine dating back to December 2016. When we put the new engine in place, a lot of people started to speak to us about the benefits and power of security token offerings. We had broad regulatory support, supporting the industry, using these instruments as new ways of raising capital and providing investors for new and interesting products to invest in. And it's a significantly cost-reducing technology for the Canadian dealer community. The major Canadian banks are eager to work with us. Issuers are gung-ho. Investors want to know when they can start buying these things and participate. Blockchain is a solution to provide our clients with security token offerings. It removes a lot of the intermediary costs and expenses associated with clearing and settlement of security trades. It is an expensive component of the cost to trade securities and to raise money for these companies. So the panel that was up here before started talking about that. Most people don't realize that when it comes to trading, the clearing and settlement hasn't changed in 40 years. We want to eliminate that, and I'll speak more to that in a second. We want to cut out that friction as our first point, and we want to use the power of blockchain to be able to allow companies to create new kinds of investment products. For example, we believe that the early adopters are expected to be blockchain and tech companies who are comfortable with it. Uh-oh. Does this thing work? Oh, perfect. Oops, sorry, thanks. So on February 12th, we made an announcement. CSE unveils Canada's first platform for clearing and settlement through blockchain security. So as a stock exchange, we are actually applying for another recognition order to be a clearing and settlement facility. The surprise response didn't come from the blockchain enthusiasts or from the tech. It came from the old economy industries like mining. They now realize that they can do asset-backed, gold and silver-backed security tokens that can then provide a revenue stream to the holder of that security. The blockchain technology will enable the revenues to flow from the company into the cash account of the holder. We will have all the information required for the payment to make sure that it gets from the company to the holder of that token. There will be no substantial manual intervention. The errors will be reduced, and so will the costs associated with these instruments. We will open up new ways of financing for these companies, not just for tech companies, but for other conventional corporations as well. So I was told to stay away from talking about ICOs and all sorts of things, but the panelist, I think panelist before me, Mr. Dang, said ICOs are in La La Land, so I love that. There was one article that claimed that ICOs are so 2017. We feel that this term has been rebranded. The STO is viewed as many as the safer way to raise capital. Now keep in mind, all of this that we're doing is done in a regulatory environment. There are guidelines and rules, existing rules, that are in place. In a security token offering, you can buy coin tokens, but unlike many ICOs, these tokens must be backed by something tangible, such as assets, profits, or revenues for the company. They almost act exactly like a share of a company, but are programmable to do things like conduct proxy voting, because they are built, again, on blockchain technology. Benefits for the dealers: real-time clearing and settlement, elimination of errors in securities processing. I actually don't know if it's going to eliminate it all, but it will be greatly reduced. And dramatically lowering costs. This saves time and expense. T+2. That's all we've been hearing for 40 years when it comes to clearing and settlement. Trade date plus 2 more days when it clears and settles. The dealer has to post security in case these trades don't clear on the 3rd day. The capital that is being tied up currently can be freed and used for other purposes. This is an expense of doing business, and the dealers want to attack it. The money that was tied up can now be used for more productive uses. Errors can be dramatically reduced. You don't have to fund a clearinghouse to provide all of the guarantees, which in Canada, and most likely here as well, amounts to billions and billions of capital that has to be put up into the incumbents, such as the Canadian Depository for Securities. You don't have to go into this whole construct to provide this service. So we're currently advertising it as T plus milliseconds. Benefits for the investors: streamlines, dividend allocation, splits, consolidations, communications to shareholders, and exposure to new investment products. Benefits for issuers: opens up opportunity to create new rights and privileges for investors, including royalty streams and contingent events. Broaden, deepen participation in tokenized security markets by enabling access for new categories of investors. Where do I see this going? This was the most challenging and difficult part of this presentation. At first, I was extremely nervous talking at a conference surrounded by people who have forgotten more about technology than I'll ever hope to learn in a few lifetimes. But then all I had to do was look at our exchange. Yesterday, we were home to 29 blockchain, crypto, and crypto mining. This morning, I woke up and it was 30. 3 weeks ago, it was 25. As I mentioned earlier, industries like mining, which you can imagine have been the backbone of resource-based economy for years. These are being re-energized. They can do asset-backed securities. We have a company called Global Remote Technologies. It's a company focused on the deployment of emerging technologies for the oil and gas industry. Oops, whoa. Sorry about that. Its remote senior sensor packages transmit telemetry from drilling and production sites into real time. We have other companies, Canamex Gold Corporation. These are companies that you wouldn't necessarily associate with blockchain, but they're here and they're on our exchange. Investment companies. A popular sector that is the future of blockchain from an exchange lens are companies that invest in other blockchain technologies and other blockchain companies, specifically with their IP. They invest capital and expertise to smaller ones to help their vision come through. Again, we have companies such as 360 Blockchain on our exchange. Victory Square has a portfolio of companies that are disrupting every single sector, from virtual reality, artificial intelligence, personalized health, gaming, and film production. Payments and e-commerce. Kryptonite Blockchain Technologies, again, on the CSE, is doing peer-to-peer payment processing. Glance Pay, symbol GET, again, involved in the payment. Entertainment. We have a company called Block Entertainment. The symbol's Play, P-L-A-Y. It's the world's first peer-to-peer decentralized digital entertainment company, supporting video game users, developers, and content creators. The security industry. Big Blockchain Intelligence Group, BIGG. There's developing from the ground up a blockchain-agnostic search and analytics engine allowing RegTech, finance, law enforcement, and government agencies to trace, track, and monitor cryptocurrency transactions at a forensic level. I can tell you right now that they signed a deal with US Post because apparently that was the biggest drug mule in the country.
The US Post?
Yes. Data storage and collection, health space data systems for the healthcare industry, ReSAS, which deals with real estate, managing real estate software to control how information flows from broker, real estate, and the associations. Telecommunications, NURAN Wireless, symbol NUR. This company is providing telecommunications for remote areas, just using a cell phone and blockchain technology. Oh, sorry. Timeline. Still early. Keep up to date on the latest developments at that website, and sign up for events and upcoming seminars. And I've been told that if you have specific blockchain-related questions that are beyond my pay grade, go to our CEO, Richard Carlton. Media requests can be taken by Phil Coven. This presentation will be available for anybody who wants it online. And that's about it. Thank you for your time. The future of securities trading powered by blockchain. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Barrington, for that presentation. I've got a few questions for you, and then we'll open it up to the audience for questions. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier in your presentation, and neither of us are lawyers, but can you sort of give an overview, or can you expand on the regulatory regime and the environment in Canada, and also for companies that are going to be listed on the CSE?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we found the reason we started using and talking about blockchain technology, we realized we had it in our trade engine, and it goes back to the cannabis story. There was a possibility that clearing and settlement for companies that were dealing in that industry would be halted, or at least highly scrutinized. And we thought, well, why do we have to go through this main clearing and settlement agency? Maybe we could do it ourselves. Maybe we could apply for this. And we did some more research and discovered our trade engine actually was built with blockchain capabilities and technologies. The governing body called the CSA came down and said, no, we're not going to do that, but we had this technology. We work with our administrators to develop and to talk about how this legislation is going to look. The companies that are applying to become listed, you have to file a prospectus, and we are helping develop the language. So we sort of have an inside track.
Okay, thank you. Now, one more question, then I will open up to the audience. Because you're a Canadian exchange and there are a lot of Canadian companies listed there, is there a hindrance or a roadblock for foreign companies, let's say for US companies who want to access or want to be listed on this exchange and access capital markets?
Yes, that roadblock would be the Toronto Stock Exchange. Okay. No, in all seriousness, there is no roadblock. We have companies listed from all over the world. The only requirement is that you have to become a Canadian reporting issuer, but you can be domiciled anywhere, California, Connecticut, Florida, Dublin, but you have to become a reporting issuer. What we advise companies to do is if you're private in the United States, become a reporting issuer in Canada, file a prospectus, get listed. You can then get an OTC trading symbol, and then you can access US investors. So then you have the best of both worlds. Because we're recognized as a foreign stock exchange by the SEC and with OTC markets, you don't necessarily have to become a fully reporting issuer to the SEC, which a lot of US companies jump all over. So it depends on how you set up your corporate structure, but that is one of the advantages that we have a very good relationship with them. So,
thank you, Barrington. So we'll open it up to the audience for questions.
I know I'm keeping everybody away from the bar, so.
Probably mentioned this already, but I missed it. What is the minimum size in terms of revenue, profitability, market cap, et cetera, to list on the CSE?
Oh, this is great. You have revenue, then you're bragging. No, you don't need revenue. You don't need there's no minimum. There's no minimum. It's really that easy. Our rule book is 75 pages. When you go on our website, look for our policies and procedures. Pay particular attention to policy 2, qualifications for listing. 150 shareholders, $200,000 in working capital or enough to sustain your business for 1 year. 2 years audited financials.
Okay, so maybe perhaps a dumb question. And then if someone were to come to you and say, well, to do an ICO is $500,000 upfront cost, and there's $125,000 in KYC, AML, and the exchange wants to charge $200,000. Why do an ICO at all? I'm sure you're asked this many times. What is the answer? Why do an ICO at all versus list on the CSE?
Yeah, I don't know why you do an ICO. I don't. No, we tell a lot of companies that want to go public. I know in the States you call it a reverse merger. In Canada we call it a reverse takeover. You don't realize what you consider your small cap market is actually pretty mature by Canadian standards. You can stand alone and list by doing an IPO in Canada. So it's going to cost you anywhere, the full IPO process will cost you anywhere from $150,000 to $400,000, $500,000, depending on how far along you are and how much you have to do. I can tell you right now, shells in Canada are going between $1 million and $1.5 million. You can thank cannabis and crypto and blockchain for that. A year ago, March, they were going for $600,000. So save the money. Save the money. You're good enough to list as is.
So let me summarize, Barrington. So in a nutshell, what CSE offers is a very cost-effective and a very efficient way to access public capital markets. It doesn't matter whether you're a Canadian company, an American company, or a company based in India. If you've got a sound business, you follow the application, prepare a basic prospectus, and you could be up and running.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.